All right, so very quick video here on how to set up song mode. I'm going to use the Syntact as an example, but this also applies to the Digitone and the Digitact as well. Okay, so to get started with song mode, you just want to hit the button here that has these three little dots, and then you hit yes to turn song mode on. And then if we go back into the menu and then we hit right, then that will bring us into the song edit menu. And there's a couple different ways we can get started. Do you have a current chain that you have, and you hit yes and it'll just import it. Or you can just hit yes and you can just add your own chain. So if we do that and hit yes, then it automatically creates all the rows for those. Okay, so let's delete these. And to delete row, you just hit function and then up. So the other option is just simply to add a row, and to add a row, you just hit function down and then that adds a row into there. So if we go through these, the first one is the number and the second one is a label. So you select it, hit yes, and then you can scroll through. You can also use the encoder to just scroll to. Actually, you don't even have to hit yes. You can just scroll with the encoder and then choose whatever you want. And then this one is the actual pattern that you want to play. Use the encoder to choose the pattern. And if you hit function in the encoder, that actually changes the bank instead of the pattern itself. This column is how many times you want it to loop. This next column is how much of the pattern you want to play. When you load up a row, it's going to automatically just choose the default, whether it's 64, 16, whatever you have set. But you can go and you can manually, if you just want it to play half the pattern, you can set it to 32 or, whatever you want. This is pretty useful for creating like a break or a transition. Say you have a pattern that's 64 steps. If you change that to 48, for example, and then you create another one that is 16, and then you change it to, a transition that you want to use, then when you play both of these together, it's going to sound like a 64-step pattern. But because this first one only plays 3 pages and then it skips to this one, which that 4th page is just going to be essentially 1 page of a different pattern, you can easily create transitions that way. This is a method I use all the time in song mode, and it's very handy. This next one here is the BPM. So it's going to choose by default the BPM that you have chosen for that pattern. And this last one is the most useful feature, I think. It allows you to mute and unmute all of the tracks within that pattern that you want. It always adds this end row here, and you just simply have 2 options, either loop, which is going to go back to the beginning and start over, or you can just simply stop it and then end the song there. Also, one more thing, when you're adding a row, it's just going to automatically make a copy of the row directly above it. If you don't want to copy that row, then on the newly created row, you just hit function clear and then it'll just clear that out. Or if you want to make a copy of a different row, then once you create that row, all you have to do is just go up to the row you want. You hit function copy and then just go down function paste. So you can do that as well. Now let's jump back to the song that I have already created. Okay, so I have my song loaded here, and when you're creating parts, if you just scroll through on this first column here where it has a number, and you just hit yes on any one of them and you hit play, it's going to play right there. If you double tap stop, it jumps it straight at the beginning. What you can also do is when the song is playing, if you go to any of these rows and you hit yes, see it's blinking, it's going to queue up and then it's going to jump. So now it jumped to this 4th row instead of going and continuing on to the 2nd row like it normally would have. So song mode still does have like a live performance aspect to it. So as you're playing it, you can choose to have it jump to, any place that you want in real time while playing live, which is really nice. Also, to show what I have set up on these mutes. So like for example, this intro, this is another way to create a break too. This one only has these 3 tracks here. And then this one has a couple more elements, but there's nothing on the first. So it's a 64-step pattern, but even though these added elements are here, there's nothing on them for the first 3 pages. So only that 4th page is going to actually have stuff on the sequencer related to those tracks. So that's another way to also create kind of a transition. And you can also use trig conditions for this as well, which I'm not really sure. I should probably look and like actually see what I have set up for that. So these are all just 16 steps. What in the heck did I do here? Okay, so yep, I did do a trig condition. Okay, so this is interesting. See, this is with the Elektron boxes. There's just so many different ways you can do stuff. So yeah, I guess what I did is I went in here and then I trig locked these all to 4/4, which means it will only play on the fourth bar. Pretty cool. Another way I could have done this is just make this a 64-step pattern and then just put these triggers on just the last page. You know, this way is probably a lot more efficient. It's not as clunky, I think. So yeah, that's apparently what I did there. All right, so we can have a listen to what I created on the Syntakt with the song mode. All right, and that's pretty much it. Just wanted to share how quick and easy it is to get song mode up and running. If you haven't used it yet, then definitely give it a go.